UAE Team Emirates on fuego in the TT yesterday, running 1-2-3. Brandon McNulty winning the 7-mile long TT ahead of teammate Jay Vine in second on 2 seconds, Bjerg in third on 4 seconds. Their pre-race favourite Adam Yates, though, 28 seconds back. So GC, it was looking good for UAE Team Emirates. An embarrassment of riches, in fact, but really a lack of domestiques. Maybe Bjerg, the only one for Jebel Jais, which is a very gradual climb. It's a good climb for someone like Bjerg. It's 5%, 20 kilometers long with a sort of triangle loop in the desert near the Hajar Mountains south first, where there could be crosswinds. Here's what the other competitors had to say about UAE before the stage.
And what do you make of UAE Team Emirates on the top 3 position, plus Adam Yates?
It's difficult now, but now they have all the responsibilities. No team will help them because they are too strong for now. They are dominating the race with a huge advantage, so they will need to take all the control of the race from now to the end.
There was some camel spotting in the breakaway. Stuart letting us know they're there. Maybe fascinated by Sylvain Dillier in the break with him, but not for long because there was crosswind action. And we couldn't really tell which team kicked it off. It's more that when crosswinds kick off, you better be rolling through, because if you sit at the back, you're going to get popped off the back. And there was Group 2, Group 3. We didn't know who was in different groups. We saw Bjerg and Van Seven on at the back and Michael Storer. But all the right riders made it into G1. So with all the right riders there, when they changed direction, it all came back together again, because why would you want to put your domestiques on the front to pace for 2 hours to keep, like a third-tier GC rider behind if O'Connor, Bilbao, Vine, McNulty all made G1 no problem. But that was a good bit of excitement, and it left nervousness in the peloton, because every roundabout and change of direction, you better be at the front just in case it's exposed, the wind's hitting too hard. Adam Yates, though, is kind of dangling around the back, not right with his UAE teammates. Stewart re-attacked and went in the break with Ricard, who then dropped back because he's like, actually, I don't know why I'm in this breakaway. And unfortunately for UAE and Adam Yates, he has a very hard crash. You see here, he looks down, and it's just 2 seconds of looking down and inattentiveness. And presumably something happens ahead of him, someone crosses his wheel, and bang, he goes down incredibly hard and hits his head. And so not good news for UAE there. The winner on Jebel Jais last year, he's so good in this race. On Green Mountain in Oman last week, he was absolutely cooking, doing big watts and going down hard before the first mountaintop finish of the race. Never good. He did get initially back on his bike, but you could see him holding his head or checking his helmet multiple times before he got back on the bike, and then when he was on the bike. So he didn't look too good, even though we couldn't see any superficial wounds on him at this point. Sterker Langen goes back to the back of the bunch to collect him and bring him up. Stewart, that's his day in the break done. On to Jebel Jais, which I always find a very interesting climb because it's really long, 45 to 50 minutes. It's very consistent and gradual. And so draft is important. Yes, you need watts to stay in the top 10 riders at the end, but tactics play a really big part or role in this climb, and the sprinters basically at the start just like, we'll just go in the gruppetto. All the guys are fit enough to still be in the peloton at this point if they wanted to, because they're doing 30 kilometers an hour on 4%. And so it'd be really interesting to see what would UAE do. With Yates possibly banged up, with 2 dedicated domestiques with Ivo Oliveira now gone, just Sterker Langen and Bjerg, with McNulty leading GC, Vine only 2 seconds behind him and a good climber, how would they approach the race? And you can see when Langen was pulling, pretty relaxed peloton, not in a single line, 3-4 deep, until Movistar. They did this last year. Alberto Torres last year did the same thing. I'm not sure if it's Malaysia or Sanchez for Rubio. Does the uphill sprint lead out for Rubio. The problem for him was that Bjerg was on really, really good form today. He lasted so long into this climb, and he single-handedly he single-handedly brings back Ina Rubio. The problem for the team was Adam Yates pulls the pin at this point. He mustn't have been feeling good. The doctor of UAE Team Emirates said after the race that he suffered a concussion, unsurprisingly, so he's pulled out of the race. And yeah, I really hope he gets back to full fitness and he doesn't suffer any consequences from it, because he's third in the Tour last year, one of the best climbers, top 5 GC rider in the world, so hopefully Yates makes it back quickly. But that means things get perhaps even more complicated for UAE. They've got Bjerg, and he's still pulling. But what are the other teams going to do? Vos got on the radio, put Oscar Rodriguez on the front. He's swapping turns with Mikkel Bjerg before Jan Hirt attacks. He did this maybe with Tarame back in when they were on Intermarché. He was on Intermarché, and guess who brings him back? Mikkel Bjerg again. So he just sets this steady tempo, but now you see it's only 25, 30 riders. He's telling Vine perhaps on the radio, I'm about done, someone else needs to come forward. Nicolas Prudhomme comes to the front. Really strong in the breakaway with Oya Lazcano at Classic Cayenne last Monday, coming 5th in that race. Decathlon, Azure Desert, they got rid of the brown shorts, and they are cooking something up this year. They look like a different team so far in this season. Now, maybe because they went to Granada and they did altitude camp and they're peaking before everybody else, but then he pulls off. No one else comes to the front for Decathlon. They've still got Valentin Paris-Pantra in the group, and I thought, why put him on the front, keep VPP in the group with Ben O'Connor, and then let UAE take over the pacing once again? It didn't make much sense to me, and now you can see it's not in a line anymore. It's Bjerg pulling again. Here's the answer. Under the Flamme Rouge, Valentin Paris-Pantra says, let's go O'Connor. Does a sprint lead out, virtually taking O'Connor off his own wheel. Gets the separation, I think, initially to Rivera. Vine didn't react on O'Connor's move. He went back to maybe pace or look for McNulty. But when VPP pulls off, that's all the gap you need, because you're competing now, O'Connor, in the last 800 meters, not against other domestiques. It's every other GC rider mano a mano, and there's a gap from O'Connor to Vine, and then another gap to Van Wilder, and another gap to Max Poole, who both had a good result, the young riders. So O'Connor and VPP, perfect timing, impeccable execution, and he takes his second win in about a week after winning in Murcia against Wellens last week. Huge win for O'Connor. Vine, though, the strongest of the rest, and I think could have won this stage if he attacked off Prudhomme's pace when there was a lull there. He finishes in second on 5 seconds, then everyone else the same time. Van Eydvelt, Poole, Van Wilder, Walter, Riccitello, Bilbao, Rubio, and Simon Kerr. Here's what O'Connor had to say after the stage.
I just thought, why not? In a sprint at the end, I'm not always super confident, so I just told him, let's go full. And he was kind of dropping me off the wheel, but it was sweet to get the gap. And then there's no better motivator to see everyone behind you. And you try to get to the finish line first.
In the sprint at the end, McNulty actually lost 14 seconds to O'Connor, so he moves to third in GC. UAE still looking pretty good for Hafid, though. They got Vine in the leader's jersey, but O'Connor's really knocking at the door, and this GC looks a lot different to yesterday when they had 1 and 2, and Yates also is the best climber in the race, knocking at the door. So the UAE Tour is wide open. Hope you enjoyed the recap, and I'll see you with the sprint stage tomorrow. Ciao.